right. Hello, everyone. Come on in. It's All Things Odd. I'm Dr. Natalie Phillips.
And I'm Dr. Hannah Galloway.
And I'm Whitney.
Okay, so I'm going to have Dr. Galloway and Whitney kind of talk a little bit about this real quick. Let me just get rid of this overlay so you guys can talk about our YouTube channel.
So here's our YouTube channel. No big brag, but we have 61 subscribers. So pretty serious. We got 3 more since last time I checked.
Yeah.
So maybe since last week. This is a good way to be able to share videos to your family and friends. And we also have some fun thumbnail images. If we are out of town or we don't happen to do an episode, this is always where you can go to find some old topics. Or if you have something that you're wondering, like, oh, did they ever do a video on this? We might have, and you might be able to find it. We're also open for suggestions on video topics. So sometimes our most watched videos are ones that we would not have expected at all. And I think it's because it's like our passion areas, maybe. It's like things that we get really excited about. So anyway, we're open to have some suggestions for topics too. But this has all of the videos. You can go there and you can subscribe and help us out on YouTube. So
yeah, and it looks like, guys, we have 85 videos, and so you want to make sure that like there's got to be something there that people might.
It just had the setting up a sound booth. So when we first moved in here, Dr. Phillips did a time-lapse video, and they brought our sound booth here. On a truck with a forklift, and there was like 6 guys, and they set it up over the course of an afternoon. But the time-lapse video is super cool, actually, even just for any audiologist, because I've never seen one go together or, be built from the floor up. So it was pretty cool for me to see that. And I thought the time-lapse video was kind of cute too. So if you're interested in seeing how a sound booth goes up, we have that too.
Yeah. Yep. And then we have our QR code that you can save as a contact below Dr. Galloway. Yep. And next to Whitney. I'm glad you did it that way, because sometimes I'm trying to.
I know.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can scan it while we're talking. You can keep us as a contact or send us some great show ideas. And don't forget to follow and subscribe on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Okay, so today we were thinking about reasons why people return to our office. And so we were talking and thinking that, there's a lot of information that goes out when we first fit hearing aids, and people can forget a lot of the times because there's so much. I have people telling us that things are overwhelming and there's so much information. And so we do definitely keep up and schedule some appointments for you guys after you get hearing aids. But there are definitely some really good things that walk in our door afterwards. And they're repeating appointments or people coming in. So we wanted to share the top 10 reasons why somebody would walk in our door after getting their hearing aids. And so we're going to kind of count them down so you guys can kind of keep track. And so the first one, reason number 1, is for the routine hearing clean and checks. And so typically when you get fit with hearing aids, we do schedule like a 1-week check, a 2-week check, and then a 4-week check just off the bat so that we can make adjustments. We can see how you do with the hearing aids at home and then come back and help you out. At 4 weeks, we do some verification testing and testing in the booth to see how you do. But then after that, we do schedule routine hearing clean and checks. And typically we do like a 6-month check to replace any parts, any domes or any things that could be going on, clean them up for you, and then also put it in our Redux machine that Dr. Galloway will talk about next. And then also after 6 months, then we schedule another one at about a year. And so the year time would be checking your hearing test again, because we want to check your hearing every year and update your hearing aids if needed, but then also another clean and check. So kind of like the dentist, like every 6 months is what we would say. But of course, any other time during that time period, always come back. Like, it's not like, oh no, you can only come back and see us at 6 months. No, anytime you need us, like, please call in and schedule that appointment. So definitely one of the first reasons that people come back to us after their hearing aids and walk back in our door is because of their routine hearing clean and checks. And that's definitely something that we want to remind people to do. All right, reason number 2.
Yes. So reason number 2, especially if you just got fit with the hearing aid, I have had people call and say, well, it's going really well. They're very comfortable, I wore them in the shower, or, I dropped them in the bathtub or something like that. We had one last week. Somebody accidentally washed it in the washing machine because it got in a washcloth that was like on the floor. And so it just got tossed in the washing machine. That one, shockingly, hardly any moisture came out of it, and it was working just fine. So modern hearing aids are impressive how they stand up against moisture. But if you have a whoops, or if you're just, somebody that's really active, a cyclist, or you play pickleball and you know that you've gotten like a ton of sweat in your hearing aids, we can put them in our Redux system, and it actually sucks moisture out of the devices, and then it'll give us a reading of how much moisture came out. So sometimes if you go back to one of our videos, we did an infomercial where I dipped a hearing aid in water and then we put it in the Redux, and it had a lot of moisture. This woman last week did not have very much moisture, but we would expect to see more, if it was submerged in water or something like that. So that's something that you can come back and call us and say, whoops, and we can put it in there. Your hearing aid was probably under warranty if it's new. So it's not a big deal if we have an issue, but we like the Redux because if somebody has an accident, we can do that quickly and try to revive it rather than having to send it in or get a new one or something like that.
Yeah. All right. We are going to go on to reason number 3.
So one common call that we get is, my hearing aid is dead. It's not doing anything. And so we will have those patients come in, and within about 10 seconds of looking at their device, we know the problem, and that is the little wax guard. So one of the many things that we tell patients when they're getting hearing aids is that you have underneath your dome, the little rubbery part that goes in your ear, there's a little white basket. And that sole purpose is to help keep wax out of the receiver wire. And when wax gets in there and it gets plugged, you won't hear anything. But thankfully, all we have to do is quickly change that. Typically, we do send you guys home with your own kit so that you're able to do it. But of course, we're always happy to do it for you as well. And we also have extra supplies for all the different manufacturers. So if you are running out or running low, we are happy to provide you with some more wax guards. But it's a super, super small piece that plays a huge role in letting your hearing aid do its job.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Reason number 4. My hearing aids are uncomfortable. So this one can be because of maybe either the domes that are on your receiver in the canal hearing aids, or what we call RIC hearing aids. They may have discolored or turned hard. It could be the ear molds themselves are not comfortable. So typically when people come in, we take a look in their ears, make sure that there isn't like a red spot in the ear canal that we can see that maybe the dome or the ear mold is rubbing up against. Maybe we can buff it down a little bit if it's an ear mold, if it's the dome, or if there's a piece of wax in there, things like that, then we can definitely take care of that. But so we take a look in the ears first, and we kind of look at what's going on with the dome or the ear mold, because the ear molds can also be cleaned. Sometimes we need to remake the ear mold, especially if you're a kid and you're growing. Sometimes we need a better fit, and so we have to do ear molds every year for kids sometimes. Adults not so much, but it also depends on the material that we've used. And so if it's a hard lucite material, typically, maybe if it's uncomfortable, it's because there's a high spot or something. Lots of times people also lose weight, and that changes the shape of their ear canal too. So we got to look at that as well. Sometimes there's something in the ear. Again, ear molds, if it's the hard material, not necessarily, unless we have to buff down a spot. If it's the softer material, sometimes we do have to still buff down a spot, or maybe it's hardened, or maybe there's something going on. And so we have people come in because their hearing aids are uncomfortable, and we talk about taking a look at where it's uncomfortable. It could be in the ear, it could be where the tubing is, or over the ear. Sometimes we have to change the length of the wire or the tubing. So a lot of things when we get that complaint, when people come back in for reason number 4. But trust me, we will make sure that we will take a look at your ears. Oh, One other thing too is sometimes when people are cleaning the domes, let's just talk about this as well. Sometimes the domes, if you're putting the dome back on your hearing aid after you've cleaned it and you haven't cleaned off the hearing aid, it could get a little loose from the oils of the wax, right? And so sometimes it can come off in your ear. So when we get the complaint that the hearing aids are uncomfortable, number one, we always take a look in the ear to make sure the dome did not come off in the ear, because we can remove it easily in the office if we do see it. So just so that you know, if you come in with that complaint and we don't see a dome, or maybe you say, "Oh, I just took out the hearing aid and I didn't have a dome," it could be on the ground and on or on the floor in your home, but it could also be in your ear. So fear not, we will always take a peek in your ear to see if we see the dome, because we can easily take it out when you are here. So that is reason number 4. So now we're going to go over to.
I'm going to add to that one a little bit. I did send one patient out because I tried to irrigate the dome out. I could not get it out. And it was this little clear dome, and it was just suctioned right on her eardrum. And I was like, I worked on it for so long and finally just said, I'm going to send you to ENT. I don't want to, be picking that off of there. Usually it's just kind of right at the edge and it's easy. I was like, this is a first for me, but better safe than sorry. It was clear, hard to see, and like really sucked against her eardrum. So
good point.
Yes, that's really the only time I've had to send out. But I did have an experience where I met a guy who had 5 domes in his ears. They were very large. If you're an audiologist, like 10 or 12 millimeters, open domes for those like old Signia hearing aids, the click domes. He had 5 of them in his ear, and he had to go get like bone scraped out of his ear because they had been in there for so long, and he just thought he was losing them. He'd put another one on, and it had created a problem. Like his skin was very upset. And so that's a horror story, but I tell people about it because I can only imagine it's like contacts. You put a contact in your eye. I've had a situation where it's like, is it behind my eye? Did it fall out? I don't know what's going on. I can't imagine a situation that I'd put 5 more on and just like hope for the best, but it did happen. And so if you are even thinking that there might be a dome in your ear, come in, we'll look, we'll let you know if there is, we'll pull it out, unless, you need to go see a medical professional for some reason. But that certainly happens. And patients are surprised to learn that happens, but it does. And so, not a big deal. We can just get it out, but better safe than sorry. So,
exactly.
Okay, number 5 is custom ear molds. So custom ear molds can be used for kids or adults hearing aids. People are probably more familiar with seeing them on kids because a lot of times they're bright colored and they fill up, this whole portion of the ear. It gets a nice custom fit. We can also use those for adults, and sometimes they're smaller and clear and they just kind of fit in your ear canal, but they provide a lot better retention for certain patients. And depending on your hearing loss, if your hearing loss is more severe, we need to be able to plug up your ear a little bit more to get you that sound. So if you've ever had any feedback from your hearing aid, or somebody that's got whistling from their hearing aid, a lot of times we need an ear mold, or we need an ear mold that fits better so that sound stays in. Custom products like a retainer or anything else, we have to kind of tweak it because sometimes it's not perfect from the manufacturer. So like Dr. Phillips was saying, maybe we have to like shave down a part of it. Maybe we need them to remake it. Maybe it's working its way out of the ear and we need to have like some more retention on it. But that is one reason people will come back and say either I can't get it loud enough, or I'm getting too much feedback, in which case we need to plug up the ear, or it's not staying in my ear well. And so we can just make that strictly for retention purposes. But that's reason number 5 that somebody, might come back in for more assistance.
Reason number 6 that a patient might come in is wondering when their hearing aids warranties have expired. So one thing that we go over when we are completing paperwork when a patient is purchasing new hearing aids is how long they have a warranty for. So in general, most hearing aids have a 3-year warranty with the manufacturer. There are some exceptions, but for today's sake, most are 3 years. And so during that 3 years, that's when when you guys can come in. If there's anything wrong with your hearing aid, we're able to fix it in-house, no charge to you. If there's something that we're not able to do in the office, then we send it back to the manufacturer and they have a look at it for no charge. There's also a 3-year loss and damage. And so with that, if you were to happen to lose one of your devices, you're able to lose each one time. So try not to lose like your right one twice, but you're able to lose one a piece, and you can get it. You can get a new one for $300. So it's a lot more economic than having to purchase a brand new hearing aid. But just remember that it's 3 years. When we write that down, so if you guys ever have a question, just give us a call. We're happy to look that up for you, just so you guys know when that warranty's out and maybe when it would be time to come in to have us have it sent off just for before it goes out of warranty repair.
Yep. Which kind of brings us, and what's interesting about all of this stuff is like we have these conversations weekly. So it wasn't hard for us to come up with the top 10 reasons why people come back in our office, because we literally are having these conversations weekly. My patient right before our show today was reason number 7. And so this patient came in and she said her batteries aren't holding a charge. Well, after talking to her about it and the history, her hearing aids are 4 years old. And so she received them. One wasn't holding a charge and one was. Well, right before the warranty was up, they sent the place that she got her hearing aids, it wasn't here. They sent one of her hearing aids in for repair and the battery was changed. So with rechargeable hearing aids, which have been around now for, I don't know, like at least 7 years or so, with these rechargeable hearing aids that are sealed shut, most of the times they'll last, they say about like 5 years is a rechargeable battery. And so what we recommend is right before the warranty is up, we either send in your hearing aids to replace the battery so it doesn't cost you anything, or some manufacturers send us the battery and we're able to actually open up your hearing aid and replace the rechargeable battery for you. But it would make sense to try to do it before your warranty is up, and that way we don't have to send it in. Once the manufacturer touches it, if it's out of warranty, then they charge you. And so again, when your batteries are not holding a charge, it's because it's probably not holding a charge, saying like, I mean, batteries can last like 16 to 18 hours now, but I'm saying like if it doesn't last you through a whole day, like at about 12 hours, that means it's probably time to get new rechargeable batteries, right? And so it's not that they're not holding the charge and you can't wear them at all, but they're just shorter time period for you during the day. But we definitely recommend to get your rechargeable batteries changed out within at least 3 years or so, right before it goes out of warranty. So that's something that, again, like I said, we're having these conversations every week. And so the patient right before me, I had the conversation with her that the next time, let's send both of the hearing aids in and get that done before the warranty is up.
Yes. And I have also seen the same. Nobody really has to get new rechargeable batteries or send it in the first couple of years. It's usually like that 3rd or 4th year. So number 8 is a big one. And it might even be like number 1 if we had to put like most common, and it's about Bluetooth and streaming. So we get questions about this. If you've used Bluetooth in any capacity, you know that sometimes it takes some troubleshooting. Big things are turn your phone on and off, turn the hearing aid on and off, try to like get everybody to kind of repair and regroup, but also have realistic expectations of Bluetooth. So I feel like people have heard buzz about this, but let's take AirPods, for example. AirPods have like a little stick here that's a huge Bluetooth antenna. And so that's where it's getting the strength to pair to the phone. A hearing aid does not have a big stick on it and has a little bit smaller of an antenna. And it also was not made by the same people that made the phone. So there's some discrepancies there. But a lot of times people will say, well, my AirPods, the Bluetooth is fine with XYZ, but my hearing aids, it's not the same. If you call a manufacturer and you ask them, if my patient's going on a walk and they put their cell phone in their pocket, Are they going to have, good streaming quality? They will tell you that it can be intermittent if you put that phone in your pocket. So I think a lot of times we have unrealistic expectations of Bluetooth, but that's always improving the connectivity, and new Bluetooth is coming out in the next couple of years. And I'm hoping that that's, going to kind of change things. But we do a lot of troubleshooting with the Bluetooth. And some of our patients are elderly and they're just not as familiar with how Bluetooth works. Sometimes the patient is very Bluetooth savvy and the phone is just problematic, or, we have to do like some firmware upgrades or something. But if you're having significant issues with it, come in, because we can look and see, are there firmware upgrades? Are there, updates we can run on your phone that's going to help it run better? Or does your phone possibly, need to be replaced if we're at that time period? So that's a big one, is just people having questions on, this one's cutting out, or this is not consistent. And most of the time it's just the nature of Bluetooth, but we certainly have tips and tricks. And, if patients get a new phone or something, they may just want to come in to have us reconnect the phone and set it up for them. And we can do that too. So Bluetooth is probably number 8 or number 1, based on what patient.
Yeah. And I think, like, especially when we fit hearing aids, for the people that are technology savvy, they get Bluetooth and they're fine. But like, we can see your eyes glazing over after we've gone through the hearing aids. Okay, now it's time to work with your Bluetooth. And so sometimes, like, I even call it and say, you know what? Let's just work on you getting your hearing aids in and out, and charging at night or whatever it is. And at your week's appointment, we can talk a little bit more about Bluetooth, because sometimes we have to talk about the priority of Bluetooth, when you make phone calls, and if you're in the car and you've got Bluetooth. So there's so much Bluetooth. I feel like our friend in California, at Fidelity Hearing Center, Dr. David DeCreek, he absolutely has so many people come in and talk to him about Bluetooth, that he probably has all this like laid out for people. But we get a lot of questions about Bluetooth, and it's okay. So don't forget, you can always reach out to us, have us help you at any time. Even if it's not at the first fit, we will answer your questions at the following fit, because this definitely, I would agree with Dr. Galloway, is probably the number one reason why people come back in is because of the Bluetooth, for sure.
Absolutely. Another reason why someone might come in is just wanting to know how to better take care of their hearing aids and how to best clean them. So like we mentioned earlier, we have special tools that we will use to clean your hearing aids when you come in for your 6-month appointments or whenever you choose to come in. However, there are certain things that you can be doing at home in the meantime to help do some hearing aid maintenance. So one thing I always tell patients is to actually wait to clean your hearing aids until the morning. So I tell patients to do this because if there is any wax on your dome, it's better to wait, let it dry, harden overnight. When you first take it out of your ear, it's just really soft. And so if you use a tool like a little brush that we have given you, or a wipe, it actually will just kind of smear it around. So it's better to wait a whole night and then in the morning use your brush and it'll kind of flake off. I tell patients, just look at your dome and make sure that that's not discolored. Check your wax guard regularly. Patients will ask me, well, how often do I need to be changing that? And it's pretty dependent on how much wax you make. Some people just do monthly. Some people need it more than that. Some people can use the same wax guard for a really long time. So that's just, an important thing to check. And then when we are showing you your hearing aid, we'll show you where the microphone ports are. That's another really good place to look and brush off in the morning times, just to make sure that they're able to pick up the clearest signal for you. Sometimes things like hair products, skin, dirt, it just has a way of working its way into those really tiny spots. So just, regularly checking out your hearing aid, using the tools that we gave you in your kit, glasses, wipes, the little brush, the pack of domes that you get, the little wax guard packs, just make sure that you're taking care of them. They're a piece of you. They allow you to hear, and they do their job best when they're clean.
Interesting. I did not know about
I learned
waiting.
something too.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
okay, I was gonna say, I was sitting there going, I don't tell them that, but that's
Oh, yeah.
really
Well,
smart.
I actually thought you were going to say just because the light is going to be better to see it
Oh,
too.
true.
And
Yeah.
you're fresh in the morning,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just thinking about somebody takes it out at their bedside table at night. It's like dark and they've got their lamp, but
True.
that's not going to be as good as if they have some daylight. So all good reasons to clean your
Yeah.
hearing aids in the
Yeah,
morning.
those are also good reasons.
Thanks,
But
Whitney.
I
Yeah.
had not heard that. So
Yeah, me
um,
neither.
what's cool about our office's work, we were all trained at different times, and Natalie went, or Dr. Phillips went someplace different than Whitney and I did, but we went through at different times. So we each have like different, recommendations or counseling points. And so sometimes when we hear one of the other ones talk, we're like, oh, that's really good. I like the way you explain that or
Yeah,
whatever.
super
So
cool.
yeah, I like that recommendation
Yeah.
of waiting until the morning. You might just have better go at it in the morning.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really cool. Speaking of which, so our last number, reason number 10, where can I keep my hearing aids safely? So Dr. Galloway had talked about this woman who came in, really great patient, and she literally was laughing about it, but she took her hearing aids out, put it on a little towel, and then she was like loading her washing machine, and she literally swept the washcloth in that had her hearing aids into the washing machine, didn't know until after the wash cycle. And she freaked out about it, brought them in. We ran them in the Redux because she knew that we could do that for her and everything was fine. But yeah, I mean, we applaud the manufacturers and the technology and, everything with this hydrophobic coating where it actually repels water and the oleophobic coating on hearing aid circuitry now. But yeah, so the question came up, and again, this is kind of what stemmed our conversation and our show is like, where can I keep my hearing aid safely? But going off of Dr. Galloway's last point about how we were all trained at different times. Okay, another thing that I thought about was back in the day, when a lot of people had in the ear hearing aids, they would just put it at their bedside table, right? These are not rechargeable hearing aids that you have to put on a charger. So they literally would set it on their bedside table. Well, I've had multiple patients in my professional lifetime come and tell me that, oh, yeah, can you do something with this and hand me their hearing aids in pieces? Because in the middle of the night, they reached over onto their bedside table, popped their hearing aids in their mouth and started chewing it because they thought it was a hard piece of candy, and then figured out that like with the wires hanging out and everything like that, it wasn't a piece of
Oh my
candy
God.
after all. So yes, in my professional lifetime, I've heard that multiple times. So where can you keep your hearing aids safely? Well, thankfully, because most of them are rechargeable, you would put them in your charger overnight and either close the charger, or they're kind of like they stay in your charger. If you don't have rechargeable hearing aids, we do want to remind you to air out the batteries at night so that they're not running. But also remember that batteries are poisonous if they're swallowed. So you want to make sure that you keep them safe. Probably not by your bedside table. Put it safely, maybe, I don't know, in your bathroom on the counter. But also be careful with that too, right? But we also give you guys cases as well. So that way, if you're traveling or you go to the gym and you want to take your hearing aids out and put them in the case, you can. But if you don't have a case, stop back in our office. We will give you a little hard case that you can carry around and put your hearing aids in safely. Or sometimes we give you dry aid kits that you can kind of seal it up, and that will take out the moisture overnight. And that's a really safe place to put it in. I don't know if Dr. Galloway or Whitney have any other ideas of where you can keep your hearing aids safely.
I tell patients either in your ears or on the charger, because if they're on the coffee table or the counter and they are paired to your phone, you're going to miss phone calls and things because it'll be going to the hearing aids that are not in your ears. So I try to stress that because I've also seen a lot come back. I put them in my pocket, they got washed, my dog got a hold of them or whatever. So I also have an old school story about an in the ear hearing aid. And if you've seen a beige in the ear hearing aid, it does kind of look like a cashew. And I had a patient,
A cashew?
a cashew. He was eating cashews and watching television, and it was really loud in his ear with his hearing aid because of his ITE. So he just took it out and set it on his snack tray. and then ate his cashews
Oh,
and then
no.
attempted to eat that one too. So, and an in-the-ear hearing aid doesn't look like any sort of food at all, except it does kind of look like a cashew. So it's so ridiculous, but that's one of the stories that I've heard. And they didn't eat it completely by any means, but they crunched it, and then the casing had to go.
Well, I've seen that meme where that one girl put a cashew in her dad or grandfather's ear at the airport when they were like all standing around, and told him to listen to it because he didn't see it, obviously, because she just stuck something in his ear and made it like she was sharing her AirPod, and like he kept tapping it, and they just had like they were just laughing up a storm because he's like, I can't hear anything out of this, and it was a cashew that she stuck in his ear, and not an AirPod. But
Yeah,
that's on Instagram somewhere.
Yeah, it could easily get confused with your nuts readings.
Yeah.
Well, watch out for that.
So lots of different reasons why people come in. Sometimes we have people come in and drop off flowers. So that's a nice reason too. We had candy come in, somebody come in and drop off candy to us. And
cinnamon rolls, we really like that.
Yes. So we like those visits as well, but we definitely have common visits of people coming back in, things like that. And again, if you have something that you have a question about, feel free to post it in the comments. We'll get back to it. And if you have any other ideas for shows, send it our way. With that, we will see you guys next week.